very quick. My point of view is from a community stance. I am a marine scientist and a teacher, but my support of recycled water has actually come through picking up plastics. So that has led us to an understanding of how our current treatment of sewage has led me to believe that recycled water has to be our next plan of attack, especially down where I live, which is in SO Shire. So we started off collecting data from our big cleanups, and there were some obvious things like we might find black straws where they were sold in a cafe nearby. But the thing I want to talk about today is stuff that we found that was coming, and we proved that was coming from sewage after being told by our local water sewage treatment plants that no, possibly they're not coming from our sewage, but we proved that they were. So we've found a lot of white sticks. Some had actual indentations that were 5 millimeters or 6 millimeters. Some had fat, oil and grease. So that was some of the evidence that started to think that they must be from sewage. And then we worked with organisations up and down the east coast of Australia that help us prove that they were. We started to see actually the 6 millimeter pieces and the 5 millimeter pieces, which I'll tell you what they are in a second, how they'll prove they're from sewage. The first thing we had to do is work out what they were compared to all the other white sticks that were washing in or being left as litter. I'm happy to answer questions about this later. I just want to talk obviously about the white sticks coming from sewage. So of these items, we had to work out, are they coming from stormwater, sewage, or from litter in the actual place, like someone's actually dropped it at that beach. So some of the things we looked at, you know, there was some were obviously coming from stormwater, like the bin plugs when Randwick Council changed their bins to FOGO. There are some things on the right-hand or left-hand screen, what you're looking at is things like from the construction industry. Some are from stormwater, but a lot of them are also coming from our sewage systems. So how are they coming from our sewage systems? Well, we had to look at the main item that we were looking at with the white sticks, and we compared them to lollipop sticks because lollipops could be littered at the beach. And what we did find was there were so many more of the cotton buds, the PCBs, the plastic cotton bud sticks versus the lollipops. So we looked at location, quantity, the features of them, when it might be happening. And we classified them and we started to work out that there was actually more of them at ocean sites, and at the ocean sites that were near the outfalls. And primarily where I am, we have, as Dr. Ian talked about, we have a outfall at Potter Point at Kurnell, but there's also across the bay, Malabar, that is a primary treatment where 90% of Sydney sewage goes. So we had to try and work out, we thought originally it was coming from primary treatment, but we worked out actually no, the ones that were near us, many of them were coming from our tertiary treatment. So if you have a look here, here's just some sites where I'll just move to this next slide, where you can see Potter Point is where the Cronulla tertiary system is, and then across the bay is Malabar. And the two sites are literally just under Potter Point, two main sites, and then one on the inside of Kurnell. So we had to do a lot more research into how are these getting through the tertiary system, because I was under the understanding that tertiary was amazing. You know, 2003, we had solved all the problems locally. The seagrass was dying and the seaweed was dying because of ocean outfall pollution, but magically turning into tertiary treatment, we'd solved all the problems. But from finding all this stuff washing up our beaches, I've discovered that even through a tertiary system, we are letting anything smaller than 6 millimeters into the ocean. So we are literally treating the ocean like a sewage dump.
30 seconds.
So just very quickly, the proof, these are the step filters. So the buds fall straight through. And if they go across, they get broken up into those 6 millimeters and 5 millimeter pieces. So I won't go too much more about outfalls because obviously people have talked about this before, but just a quick run through here again, you can see the evidence that we're talking about. So the indentations from falling when they go across the filters, the fat, oil and grease. So the fat, oil and grease from our sewage systems. And here's some really good idea. You can see the indentations there. So that was proof that they were coming through our sewage systems. So I guess to kind of finish up why this has led me into supporting COF and recycled water is if we are looking at recycled water as drinking water, as potable water, then we are forced to treat it to a better level than what they are treating it now, because the idea that we can flush all this stuff out to sea, so anything smaller than 6 millimeters, so obviously I'm talking about physical plastics here, means eventually we're going to be drinking that effect anyway. So that's obviously put a simple explanation of how I see it, but this stuff is going out to sea. We're going to be drinking this crap for a long time. So we need to really start thinking about what we actually are flushing out to the oceans and using our water so much better. And obviously I've learned through Clean Oceans Foundation just how much money and how much waste is from things like sewage and desal. It just beggars belief we're here in 2023 and we're still having these, we have to have these discussions.
5 seconds.
So where we obviously think about education. Obviously people shouldn't be using sewage incorrectly. You know, we shouldn't be flushing these things down the toilet like oils and plastics. But at the same time, yes, we can ban these things. But if anything smaller than 5 millimeters is getting through, we need to start looking at treating our water a lot better. So I'm going to kind of finish on there. I've said these ideas before in this presentation is, you know, we're wasting our time picking up this waste and we're going to have this effect forever. It's a health issue. Have we not learned from the past? And yes,